Apple and other tech companies' lobby efforts kill Ontario right to repair bill. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this is a hot topic. There's a dude on YouTube who loves this particular topic, Louis Rossmann. And it's interesting to me because actually I've told this story on the channel before I ever did any of this. I had an actual Apple specific repair and upgrade shop, a physical store. And this was one of the things we used to do frequently is replace iPhone parts, components, try to repair logic boards. That's what Apple calls motherboards in their laptops. And there were all kinds of challenges with that business when it came to trying to get our hands on parts, authentic parts, and trying to help people out because they would go to the Apple store and be quoted some outlandish repair fee for what to us seemed like simple types of repairs. I remember back then, they weren't even doing phone screen repairs. This was years ago. So you had an iPhone 3G or something and you broke the screen. It was up to the extended marketplace, non-Apple marketplace, stores like mine. If you were going to recover that iPhone at all and you didn't want to spend whatever the retail cost was to replace it completely at that point in time. So you felt like you were providing a service to a customer that had that was in trouble, that needed some help. But Apple, they didn't make it very easy even back when I was doing it. They had various certification programs and anyhow, it was kind of a tough thing to do. And it actually ended up getting tougher once Apple opened their own stores. And then it became even harder to get your hands on parts and things like that. But a lot of people are not happy with the way that Apple specifically, as well as other technology brands, treat the repair process. If you do encounter a problem yourself, assuming that it's out of warranty, they're really done with you at that point. They just they want to turn you into a new customer or a repeat customer. They just want to sell you a new thing. Well, of course they do. They're a company. That's what they want to do. But unfortunately, that leads to certain consequences that might not be so great for you or for the planet. Maybe the device you have is perfectly fine. Maybe you don't need a new one. Maybe it's a simple repair. Maybe it's just the glass on a smartphone, although Apple does repair that now. But in certain circumstances, I'd be amazed that it could be a faulty RAM chip on some of the early PowerBooks and MacBooks that I used to repair. But again, when you would take the device to Apple, it seems that their immediate kind of reaction to almost all problems is you probably want a new one. Can you blame them? Yes, maybe no. Some people are on different degrees in responding to that. But anyhow, there was a bill on the table today. Was it today? It was recently in Ontario. And it wasn't the very first bill or proposal for something like this. Recently something similar was squashed in California. And the idea of a right to repair bill is to mandate that a company like Apple should support the idea of a user or a facility to have the right to acquire parts from Apple directly that are official and original to do some of these styles of repairs to their products so that they wouldn't be the only ones who could make the judgment. You see, one of the issues is imagine your car, for example. Well, you have an issue with your car and it's out, it doesn't have a warranty anymore. You could take it to a mechanic. You could take it to the dealer and they have a service department and they could say to you, to repair your transmission, it's not worth it. You should buy a new one, a new car. Or they could say that transmission is going to cost you $6,000 or some number, a big number. And you'd be like, okay, thank you for your information. I'm going to take it now to a private mechanic and see what he says. And you can get another opinion. And it's within the mechanic's ability at that point to order the necessary components if he needs to do the repair. when it comes to iPhones and Apple products, that's the part that they seem to be making hard. And if you head over to Louis Rossman's channel, this dude has all kinds of evidence that they intentionally make this process difficult. He has a repair shop now and a YouTube channel. And I think he shops in New York, actually. And he tries to order parts for all the repair requests that he's getting. And Apple will actually stop them at the border in customs, because he'll be ordering them from China or wherever it might be. And they'll do whatever they can to stop this guy from repairing old devices. Now, their argument is that it's dangerous. We can't have people out there repairing their own stuff or getting it done from third parties. It's dangerous. They're going to blow themselves up. There's batteries and things like this. Yeah, there was actually CBC News actually did an in-depth analysis. They did some secret shopping and headed to the Apple store and what they did was they asked them, okay, here's my problem. Can I repair it, or do I need a new device? And of course, Apple would quote them some astronomical figure. Then they would double check with Rossman and say, oh, how much should this repair cost me? Or how much would it cost me if I came to you? And he's representative of the third party, of the independent repair guy. So anyhow, it's not the greatest look for companies like Apple. I should mention Samsung was also a part of the lobby against this bill taking place. Who else was there? There was Samsung, Apple, a couple of others. Companies just don't like this. They don't like this idea. They want to be in control. The other argument they make is we can't possibly provide these parts. It would be we'd be giving up some intellectual property. It would be dangerous from that perspective. Do they have a point? Maybe. But when you buy the device, if you crack it open, don't you have isn't the same intellectual property wrapped up in the thing that's already in your pocket? What's the difference if it's deconstructed? I mean, iFixit takes these things apart. Do they want to shut them down? Do they want to make it illegal to even deconstruct the thing that you own? Should you be able to investigate your own property if you want to, if you're qualified to do so, if you feel qualified to do so? So anyway, this they propose this legislation because on one side they say, hey, this is predatory. They have essentially a monopoly on this. They can tell you whatever they want to tell you, and you're not in a position to dispute it. And you have nowhere else really that you can go reliably to get that second opinion. If they tell you your phone repair is going to be $700 or a new one, you're just like, all right, I guess give me the new one.
Yeah, so like they own the monopoly.
That's it. Repair. They make the product.
There's no second opinion.
They make the product and they they service the product exclusively. Actually, Jack had that issue with his stereo the other day. It was the same kind of situation with the car thing. It was with the Audi dealer, if I recall correctly. This stuff goes on with your products, right? Do you want to chuck them in the garbage, or should things be somewhat repairable? Now, increasingly, these devices become more solid state, where there's less you can do with them, especially in the laptop department. You used to be able to replace certain things like RAM or maybe an SSD or hard drive. I mean, everything is soldered on now. It's very difficult. So they propose this thing. The lobby comes out. They say it's dangerous. People are going to hurt themselves. We can't expose our secrets. We can't put the repair manuals out there. And it looks like they were successful in both their lobbying in California with the same argument, and now the lobbying in Ontario. And they've killed the right to repair concept in both places. And I can't say I'm surprised. Obviously, it's, if they're looking at it from their point of view, it's better to not have that type of thing exist. It's more business for them. They get to sell more new products as these things get busted or people have problems with them, or they get to charge astronomical repair fees. I mean, this is he's showing off the CBC investigative report here. An individual's getting quoted like $1,100 for a repair, $1,200. And of course, they're able to find a cheaper repair in the aftermarket. Now, this often happens in other industries, but it's special in this one because the third party, the group, it's not like mechanics. It's not like with automobiles where you have a sort of an infrastructure, a development that these things exist. They're out there. Apple repair technicians, I know when I had this shop in Toronto, I was the only one doing it. Actually, there was one other. I think there was us and there was iFixit. And it's a hard thing to do, to get good at. There's no training program. And when they really don't want you to repair something, you have to learn everything on your own. I said iFixit, I meant iRepair. That was the other shop in Toronto. iFixit, of course, was a huge resource to me. When I was in this business, I would often have to reference the iFixit guide before I would even attempt to crack open one of these devices. It was an incredible resource, and it still is to this day. I have tons of appreciation and respect, and I probably owe something to iFixit. So how about that for a shout out? If you want to go over to their website and buy one of their toolkits, you'll be amazed that you can actually repair a lot of your stuff. It's pretty cool. But increasingly in the Apple department, it's becoming more and more difficult to repair a lot of things. But I'd be amazed, man. Back in the day, I'll give you a personal story. I would get a person, I remember I got a person with an iBook. Do you remember the iBook? Show them a picture of the iBook. I had a person come in the store, not iBooks, iBook. That was a laptop. How weird is that thing? That one, the white one. No, not the clamshell, the white one. They came in, the thing didn't work at all. Wouldn't boot up, but the fans were spinning. Now, I knew that this was likely something to do with heat. It could be heat related. These things used to overheat. Fans would get dirty. Things would overheat. There used to be an issue where they would get so hot that solder points on the logic board would melt and certain connections would be dislodged. Now, there was a quick fix you could do for almost nothing. But if you took it to the Apple store, they would say you need to get a brand new logic board. And I believe it was around $700 at the time. The laptop was only worth, $1,000. But if you took a heat gun to the bottom of the unit, you could hold the heat gun there and it would melt those solder points, and it was called reballing. And if the thing was at the right angle, the solder would drip back over and create the proper connection again. We could do it in like half an hour. I don't remember, we charged people maybe $50. I don't remember what it was. Just for the time. It was incredible. It was interesting back then. I think in a lot of ways I'm attached to this particular story because of that backstory, because of that background. But I think that the idea of these bills is good. It's a good idea, I think. And I think increasingly as our lives are relying and they're dependent on these types of devices, to have some kind of agency over how we interact with them and what we can and can't do with them outside the realm of the manufacturer themselves is probably a good thing. I'm not saying everything needs to be regulated. There's plenty of places where you can overdo it, but there's really nothing there right now. And I think these kinds of ideas are cool, but they're dead now. They've been killed both in California and now here in Ontario, the home province. So relevant anyways. Sorry for the tangent. I just felt I had some personal experience in this department. Maybe you do too. You can actually let us know if you have your own story. You can leave it down in the comments, because I think these stories are helpful when it comes to pushing stuff like this through. It's quite possible you have your own device from Apple or maybe another brand where you felt like you should have been able to repair it, and for whatever reason that was difficult to do, or you maybe got a hard time at the store itself. I'm curious, genuinely.